I am so excited about this new series, and I promise, y'all, I promise you don't want to miss it. Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to have you guys here today with me starting a brand new help series, and I'll be actually having some guests on my YouTube channel for the first time ever besides my mom or Reggie or my dad, and I'm super pumped to talk about things that matter, things that will help us, ways we can sharpen each other. And so this is episode 1 of Help, I Have Imposter Syndrome. All right, y'all, we're just gonna like jump right in. So buckle up your seatbelt. You got your seatbelt buckled because that's important because you'll get pulled over. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're talking about imposter syndrome and I'm super pumped about it. And I thought what a more fitting way to talk about it than to provide the definition. Because I think for a long time I heard this term tossed around, but I didn't know what it actually meant. And so imposter syndrome refers to an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. Hello, have we all been there? I mean, between work and school and being a parent, if you're a parent, or being a sibling or being a spouse, whatever it is, we've all been to that point where we are in a certain point in life or in a certain place in life, but we don't necessarily feel like we're equipped or have all of the tools to fulfill that role well. And I've definitely been there, and I think that I'm so passionate about this topic because the Lord has really been dealing with me. A little bit about my story with imposter syndrome. I feel like I really felt the weight of imposter syndrome once I graduated college, really. Going out into the real world, I had a job after college, moving 14 hours away to Wisconsin, starting my first big girl job, knowing no one, being in a new state and town. And so I really got there and I was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I do this big girl corporate job? Am I gonna be able to fulfill this role? Am I gonna be able to live on my own? Am I gonna be able to pay my bills? I was a new adult, I guess you could say, and I did not feel like I was equipped to live that out. And then fast forward to even really last year, diving deeper into my YouTube channel and feeling the Lord weighing heavily on my heart to get more involved on social media, I had major imposter syndrome with that. I was like, look, I am no influencer. Do people even care what I have to say? Lord, I don't look the part. I don't act the part. I don't feel like I'm equipped to do this. And so for all of 2021, the Lord knows, seriously, I was like kind of wrestling with him back and forth, like, no, I'm not gonna do this. But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk in obedience. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I finally got to this place this year where I'm still learning to overcome my imposter syndrome, but I'm like a little bit better at it. And so that's why I'm super pumped to share what I've learned with you guys. And also, side note, you wanna make sure that you stay till the end because I have a special surprise that I've been working on for you guys, praying over it, all of that good stuff. So make sure you stay till the end. Do not skip forward and not watch the video. Please watch my video and then you'll see at the end what my surprise is. But let's get into my 5 tips to deal with and hopefully overcome imposter syndrome. Okay, tip number 1 to dealing with and overcoming imposter syndrome for me was saying it out loud. So I feel like so many times in our head, we are thinking these thoughts of like, am I good enough? Can I do this? I don't feel equipped. What am I gonna do? Da, 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 da. And then our mind is going, but yet we say nothing out loud and we try to put on a mask and a facade like, oh, we're cool, I got this, I know what I'm doing. And really, God broke me down and brought me to my knees to remind me that, no, Jasmine, you don't know what the heck you're doing. And so really, when I say it out loud, first of all, going to God in prayer, being so honest, like God welcomes our honest prayers and he also welcomes our questions. And so I think it's so powerful to come to God in humility and transparency and be like, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, or at least I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. How do I navigate this? What do I do? Lord, please equip me with the confidence. Please equip me with the tools so that I can do this job well, or be a great mother, or be a great wife, or whatever that looks like for you, whatever the thing that you're dealing with imposter syndrome. Just going to God in transparency about that helped me a ton. And I saw a huge shift when I actually started praying about it instead of just thinking about the fact that I had this major imposter syndrome looming in the back of my mind. But also literally physically saying it out loud to friends or your significant other or a family member, whatever space you feel like you have a trusted person to talk through your imposter syndrome with. There's a lot of power in saying that. And then also when you say it out loud, it invites that other person that you're saying it to share their testimony and their story. Because here's the deal, we've all been through imposter syndrome at one point or another. If you haven't, please comment down below and let me know how you don't deal with imposter syndrome, but Lord knows that I have. And every time that I've brought it to Reggie or to a friend or to my parents or whatever, they've been like, oh yeah, I remember that time that I was doing X, Y, and Z, and this is how the Lord helped me walk through that, or I'm still working through that. And then you guys can collaborate with each other on how to overcome that. There's so much power in saying things out loud. So make sure you say it out loud. Don't try to put on a front. And yeah. Okay, tip number 2 is separating facts from feelings. Facts from feelings. Okay, I love this one because, y'all, I'm a feeler. I feel deeply and I love to express my emotions. That's how I feel most comfortable. I understand that everybody is not like that, but at the end of the day, a lot of times I felt like things are bigger than what they were because of the way that I process my feelings in such a big way. But once I learned how to separate facts from feelings and logically processing through each scenario, it helped me to slow down and remind myself that I'm actually more equipped than I think. So this is a small, but I think really significant example. There was one time when I was working in Wisconsin, I had this big presentation at work for a meeting. And so the whole morning I was freaking out in my head. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't speak in front of people. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's gonna be senior level management there. What am I gonna do? And I did that all morning. I felt utterly exhausted. And so of course I called Reggie and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And I was crying. And then Reggie so lovingly talked me through it. I said it out loud. And then after talking to him, I prayed really quick and I was like, Lord, I'm feeling overwhelmed, help me. And then he immediately helped me to separate my facts from my feelings, understanding that I was given this job for a reason, understanding that I've been doing a lot of work leading up to this point to give this presentation. And so I'm the expert in this situation because I've been doing the research on the work and so many other scenarios. I think when you talk yourself through that stuff, the actual facts of what is going on, it helps to not alleviate the feeling completely, but it helps you to decipher through all the muck and mire of like sadness and anxiety and overwhelm and all of that stuff that all of those feelings can bring. I think understanding the facts of where God has positioned you, what you've done up until this point to be where you are, really helps you to stop and think and be like, okay, yeah, I'm dealing with some imposter syndrome, but I'm also right where I need to be. Okay, tip number 3 is take the first step. Just freaking take the step, girl. Okay, literally, I can't tell you how many times I've told Reggie this year, why did I not start social media earlier? I literally feel like it's not as hard as I made it out to be. And why do I feel that way? And it's because I took the first step to do so. I love this quote by Ward Cunningham, and it says, I can't tell you how much time is spent worrying about decisions that don't matter. To just be able to make a decision and see what happens is tremendously empowering. But that means you have to set up the situation such that when something does go wrong, you can fix it. And I really love that perspective because I think that you can learn as you go and you can figure things out along the way. I feel like in our culture, there's this like weird phenomena going on that we have to have it all together and be an expert in everything and know everything and be ready to roll. But really, think about people like the creator of Nike or Steve Jobs, who started Apple. I'm sure he didn't start out knowing absolutely everything and every single loophole that would come his way, but because he started, he was able to fail forward and learn lessons that put him in a position to be able to just experiment and trial and error and things like that, and it got them to where they are now. You know, Nike's the biggest company in the world. Apple's one of the biggest companies in the world as well. So I think people don't understand the power in just starting. And starting doesn't have to look big. Starting can look small. And so I think that it's so important to just put one foot in front of the other. I was talking or listening to a message that my friend Jaden at church, she gave, and she was just talking about how when we take one step towards God, he takes 1,000 steps towards us. And that's what I think of with getting rid of imposter syndrome and just starting. The moment that I let go of the feelings, the moment that I let go of not feeling like enough, the moment that I let go of fear and took that step forward, God met me exactly where I was and brought me to levels that I never even thought were imaginable, right? And it reminds me of the verse in Psalm 119 that says, "Thy word is a lamp into my feet and a light into my path." And I think that that verse is so fascinating because a lot of us can think, oh, a lamp into my feet. Okay, that means the whole pathway is gonna be lit up for me and it's gonna be perfect and I'm gonna know exactly where I'm going and what the end result is gonna look like. But God's word said he is a lamp unto our feet. And so that means you have light, you do have light, but it's just on one foot and the other foot. And you can see the next step forward, but you don't see what's completely 20, 30, 40 steps ahead of you. And so I would just encourage you to take the first step. You're not gonna know it all. You're not gonna know all the loopholes. You're not gonna know the ways that you're gonna fail or the lessons you're gonna learn, but such is life. And I think we just have to trust in God, trust in his sovereignty, and just put one foot in front of the other and allow his word and who he is to be the lamp to our feet to get us where we need to go. Okay, tip number 4 is develop a healthy response to failure. And I really love this one. Being a recovering perfectionist, I always tell everyone that I am learning to have a healthier response to failure, understanding that it doesn't make me as the whole person a failure, but that situation might have been a mistake or a failure, but I can learn from it and start fresh again, you know? I think it's super important to remember that although we fail, we are always operating from a place of victory because we are children of God. And I think that when you think about that and internalize that, that puts a different perspective on failures. Because again, when you understand that you always operate from a place of victory because of who God is and who he's created us to be, then we can maneuver, we can experiment, we can do these things despite imposter syndrome and move forward even if we fail. Because God has placed a path in front of us of good things, of promises, of lessons to learn. And so I think that there's so much power in shifting our perspective and understanding that failure doesn't have to be final. Failure doesn't have to be a negative thing, but it can be a stepping stone to the end result that you're looking for, or it can be a stepping stone to the person that you want to be. Okay, lastly, y'all, tip number 5 is letting go of perfectionism and just enjoying the process. This took a long time for me to understand and learn and live out. And I specifically think of the time where, so if you guys didn't hear on Instagram, Reggie and I are under contract for a house. That's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. But I think in that process leading up to us going under contract and finding a house, I was not believing that God is who he says he is. I was not believing that he could come through. I thought that we would have to do everything on our own, and I thought we had control of what house we got and what we did and yada, yada, yada. Silly old me. But I think once I heard from the Holy Spirit and his gentle and sweet and such a kind reminder to just enjoy the process and to find gratitude in the process, that changed everything for me. When I was able to, for example, around Halloween time or Thanksgiving time or whatever, I wanted to decorate my door cute and have like a pumpkin and all that stuff. And I was telling Reggie, oh, it'd be so nice to have a porch, a house porch, to put a pumpkin on and decorate it all cute and stuff like that. But in gratitude, I took the initiative to add some action to my gratitude, and I literally put a pumpkin outside of our apartment door. And that was a way of me saying, you know what, Lord, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm grateful for this process and I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. And I will never forget that teaching lesson that he taught me through decorating my door. And so I say all that to say, oftentimes we can get so caught up at the end result that we don't find the beauty in the small details of the process, and we also miss the lessons that are meant to come with the process, because the lessons in the middle are really what help us to grow and make us into a new and more refined version of ourselves. And that's what we all want, to become more like Christ. And really, you can only do that by going through the process. Like, there's no other way around it. You're not just gonna wake up one day and be at the end result of what you're wanting. And so I think there's a lot of power in just enjoying the process, and getting rid of imposter syndrome starts with letting go of perfectionism, understanding that you're gonna fail forward, and enjoying the process and being like, hey, you know what? I'm just here to learn, and we're gonna experiment, and we're just gonna see what happens. And I know that's easier said than done, but I just want us to be the people of God that are not stalled by imposter syndrome. We have so much to do with our time on earth, and I feel like we forget about that. Like, I know for me, there's so many times that I think I have all this time, but really I don't. Jesus is coming back. Death is in my future, and it's in all of our futures. Sorry to sound morbid, but it's the truth. And so we don't have time to be stalled by imposter syndrome, sitting around being like, I have to do this perfectly, or people need to be saved. People need to hear the love of Christ. People need to hear the gospel. And so that is something that has shifted in me, especially this year, understanding that this needs to happen. I need to overcome imposter syndrome, not just for myself, but for the people on the other side of my obedience, right? For the people who need to hear the gospel, for the people who need to hear God's love, for the people who I need to serve, or for the people who need to hear a message that the Lord has given me. You know what I mean? And so I'm just not into stalling anymore. I'm not into trying to have it all together or figure it out. I'm learning just like y'all. This whole YouTube thing is a whole freaking experiment. An experiment. I've learned so many lessons. I've made so many mistakes, but I'm so grateful for it. And I'm grateful that we get to make each other better. So those are my 5 tips, y'all. You made it to the end of the video, and I'm super pumped for that. And so let me share the special surprise with you guys. So I was talking with Reggie, and I was like, oh, I wanna be in more community with my subscribers. How can I do that? And I was listening to a podcast with a blogger that I love, and she was just saying how she has an email specifically for her followers to write an email to her about questions they may have, or concerns, or a product that they need, or whatever. And I was like, bingo, that's what I need to do. So I created an email, and it's called askjasminejones@gmail.com. I'll put it in the description below. And I want to leave it open for you guys to email me any questions that you may have about faith, relationships, random things like, hey, where'd you get that jacket that you were wearing in the video? Or where's a good place to find earrings? Whatever. We're friends on here. And so I just want to be a resource to you guys. I want to help you. I want to get to know you. And so feel free to click on that email below, shoot me an email, and I'm super pumped to be able to build deeper and richer relationships with you guys, because I feel like that is what social media and like YouTube is meant for, in my opinion. I mean, yes, it's for entertainment, but I really, there's people on the other side of the screen, and so I just really want to get to know you guys and help you in any way that I can. So please send me an email, feel free, and give me grace if I can't answer it like within 24 hours. please give me grace, but I'm super excited for that. But super quickly, before we end everything, I wanted to read a couple of verses over you guys to empower you to overcome imposter syndrome. So the first verse that I have is 1 Peter 2:9 in the Message version, and it says, "But you are the ones chosen by God, chosen for the high calling of priestly work, chosen to be a holy people, God's instruments to do his work and speak out for him, to tell others of the night and day difference he made for you." I love that. From nothing to something, from rejected to accepted. That's you. That's you. So remember that, internalize that. The next verse is Hebrews 10:35 through 36. And I think this is the NLT version. And it says, "So do not throw away this confident trust in the Lord. Remember the great reward it brings you. Patient endurance is what you need now, so that you will continue to do God's will. Then you will receive all that he has promised." So he has a lot of promises that he wants to give to you. So operate in the gifts and the things that he has empowered you with. You have everything that you need. You have everything that you need. And the last one is 2 Corinthians 12:9. Not trying to be fancy, but I memorized it because I have spoken this verse so many times over my life. Over the past 2 years, it has been an anchor for me. And it says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." So understand that in your weaknesses, he's strong, and he has given you absolutely everything that you need to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. And I believe in you, and I'm here for you, and I'm sure your family and your friends believe in you. So just go out and do the dang thing. You got this. You got this. Comment down below letting me know some verses that have helped you to rid yourself of imposter syndrome, or quotes, or whatever. Let me know down below, because I'm always writing those down, because I need a little bit more of those when I kind of get some imposter syndrome flaring up. But I'm so incredibly grateful for you guys, and I'm excited for you guys to hit me up on my email, ashjasminejones@gmail.com, and then also to continue to work through this series of helping each other out. So make sure you stay tuned for next week for the episode 2 of Help. Well, I guess you'll find out next week. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see my next video. Bye guys.